Hi guys, it's Mrs. Roger again. I just have a quick video on objects to help you get through these assignments on objects. So going back to the ball class that we wrote many moons ago together in class right before we left. Whenever you write a class basically is describing some sort of object and all the attributes and all the things that object does. And in order to use the class, we need to create objects of that type. So for example, if I want to be able to call any of these methods from the ball class, like get volume or get total cost, I would have to create an object in order to access those. So we are going to be in a test class. And so when we create our objects, we don't create them in the class. The purpose of them is so that we can use the class. So this is not code that we write in the actual class that we're trying to use. So when I go to create an object, I need to first indicate the type of object that it is. So AKA what class you're trying to access. So it's going to be ball, and we're going to call this one obj1 equals new ball. And now we need to make sure that we match one of the class constructors. So at this point, I'm going to go back to the ball class and we're going to take a look at the constructors. So I have one constructor here that doesn't have anything in the parentheses. So if I want to match that one, I could literally just have empty parentheses. I have another constructor here that calls for both all the color, the texture, and the size. And then I have another constructor that just does color and texture. So when I create objects, the data that I give it has to match one of these three constructors. So if I want to create just a default ball, I would put nothing in these parentheses. Okay, so this matches the default constructor. Okay, so if I were now to use this object to access the class, so let's say I want to be able to call a method out of the class. So let's say I want to be able to call the set color method, or not the set color method, the get color method. So when I created the object obj1, right here, this ball object obj1, it is creating a ball with these attributes, a red smooth ball with size 5. So if I were to then say obj1 dot get color, if I were to call that method, and I'm going to go ahead and print it out so I know, so I can see what it's doing. So if I print obj1.getColor, I'm expecting to see the color of that object. And we just talked about that it's going to create a red ball. So if I run this code right here, I'm going to get red output. Okay, I can create as many different ball objects as I want. I just need to make sure that I constantly match the constructors. So let's see, I create a new ball, and instead of having that default one, I'm actually going to give it some values. So this time I want blue, comma, bumpy, comma, 4. So I've created a ball object here, and it is matching this second constructor here, where I'm giving it a color, a texture, and a size. And the order is super important. I can't just put in whatever I want. So that's matching the second, this matches the second constructor. So so now if I were to do the same thing here where I get color for my second ball, So instead of using the first ball, I use the second one. I'm going to expect to see blue because the second ball, we designated it to be, okay? Now, so just to kind of show you what I mean by having to match constructors, if I create a third ball object and I just put in things in any order I want. So I say 5, green, and smooth. You can see that it's giving me an error. And the reason it's giving me an error is because it says the constructor int string is undefined. That means if I go to the ball class, we don't have any constructors that fit that match that. So this constructor is string double. This one's string. So and this one has nothing. So as long as I match one of those, I'm good. But if I don't match those, it's not going to work. So I could create, this would have to be ball obj3, right? So this one doesn't work. We'll just say that this doesn't match a constructor. And I'm going to go ahead and comment it out because you can see that it's an error and it's not going to let me run anyways. Okay. So I could create an obj4, we'll call it. And by the way, you can name these whatever you want. I could call this Sam equals new ball. And if I now send it purple and smooth, this one's okay because it matches the third constructor. So if I said system.out.println obj, Sam was the name of it, if I get the size of Sam, I didn't give Sam a size here, right? I only gave it a color and a texture. But if I go and look at that constructor, it looks like size automatically is defaulted to 8. So I'm going to expect that when I go and print the size, it's probably going to be printing 8 for me. Okay, so that's basically just a quick rundown of objects. So when I create a new object, I'm having to make sure that I have the name of the class that I want to create it for, the name I want to give the object, the word new, that's always going to be there. Again, the class name, so that's always going to be the same no matter what your class name is. It's going to follow that suit. And then inside these parentheses is going to depend on the constructors that are actually part of the class. That's kind of going to be your important part there. Okay, this should give you a quick rundown for your assignments for this week. Have a good day.